grimiest part of me wishes I had stayed in that familiar city of gray and mental illness and whatever the opposite of healing is.
When I tell you that loving you almost makes me forget how much I hate myself.
It's not
It
the
is not how
storm
much
before the calm. This is the deep and dying breath.
It is not healthy to
of
drink so much
this
water that your
love that
body
we've
becomes a
been
bathtub, your organs float in like
working
loofahs. Body,
on.
forgive me.
Can't seem to hold you like I want to, so I can
Recovery
feel you
is
in
hard
my
work.
arms.
Not wanting to die is
Nobody's
hard work.
gonna come and save you. We pull too many false alarms.
Love
We'll
the feeling of drinking
go
water
and
on an empty stomach, waiting for the coolness to slip
you
all
can
the way
see
down.
it too. We'll go and down, and you
Wanting
know
to die is
that
not the same as
would
wanting to come home.
my dear.
And I'm still trying to remember that.
Slow dancing
The flowers you bought, because even though they are dying too, they still dance.
Hey guys, I've been meaning to record this video in like a while. I just haven't, but at least it's recorded now if you're watching this. But I make these videos not like for myself, but mainly for anyone who struggles with the same things that I have, or you know, have had. Because with my depression video, which is like I think 3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, I made the video because I wanted, you know, people not to feel alone. My reason for making these videos are, you know, for people like to look at them and realize that they're not alone and that there are other people who suffer with the same things, you know, because I think when I first made my depression video, like before that, when I was like battling with my depression alone, I felt so alone. Like I didn't know what I had, I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just know that I was like severely depressed and you know, I couldn't control it, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? So I just hope that, you know, someone sees it, this, you know, this video, who's struggling with the same thing and realize that they're not alone. But eating disorders. I didn't know how I got an eating disorder, because, you know, everyone had their own reason for what I had, but it wasn't, you know, my reason. Like everyone said, oh, you have anorexia, or you don't eat because you think you're fat, or, you know, stuff like that. And I hated a lot when people had their own reasons for why I was doing the things I did, because I knew that that wasn't my reason, but I couldn't like put my own reasons into words. Like I was just like, I don't know how to explain it, you know. And I think I'll always struggle with like explaining it, but I developed like an eating disorder in middle school. So the time that I found out I was depressed, you know, some people develop eating disorders, not everyone. So every time I went to school, I didn't eat the lunch food, not because I wanted like to be thin or anything, but because school food is disgusting. I'm pretty sure everyone agrees. So I'm just like, nah, not eating that. So, and when I came home, you know, at times I would eat, other times I wouldn't, but since I have depression, every time from home I would take like a 4-hour nap, you know, my depression nap. So you don't eat for the entire time, and that obviously affects it, makes a very big change in your life, because you get used to that. So you get used to that routine, and I did it like every day mainly, and it depended if my mom made food that night or not, if I would like eat dinner. If she didn't, then I mean I wouldn't complain, because at times, you know, since I didn't eat, I got used to it, and I got used to like the feeling of just not being hungry. Like I just wouldn't be hungry anymore, so I didn't really like see it as a problem. So yeah, and I noticed that I wasn't eating, because you know, since I did it all the time, I didn't notice what I was doing. It just slowly became this huge thing. So I noticed everything like having an effect on me, because I got paler, like the blood from my skin would like not be there, you know. Is that the word for it? Like I was just not have any like, you know, the red that I have now. I mean, other than my acne. But and at times I would be very weak. And also a big thing that I noticed is that since I live in Florida, like when it's hot, it's hot. Like, homie, it's like 100 degrees over here. Like we out here in an oven, homie. So like during those like high temperatures, I would wear like a jacket. And it's also not because I felt, I mean, other than my insecurities of, you know, not liking my own body, it was also because I was cold. So if you don't eat, you know, your body makes more like, I think my arms are like not hairy, but you know, you grow like more hair because you get cold, because you haven't eaten. I forgot how to explain it, but I know that that's why that happened. And I remember like people telling me at school like, are you hot? And I was like, you're making me hot. And I had like a really like thick sweater. So, and back then I saw it as an accomplishment. I thought it was cool, but I didn't do it because I was like thought or I wanted to be cool. I just was like, oh, I have this new superpower, but I didn't realize that I had developed a mental illness or, you know, an eating disorder. So after like, you know, I hadn't eaten, I think it was 7th grade when I had that. So I think in 8th grade, I randomly started like eating normally again. So I don't even know how, which is like the worst explanation. I guess I just don't think about it, so I just don't know my own reasons for it. But I just started eating, right? So since I wasn't like used to eating, every time I did eat, I felt like, you know, full. And I didn't like that feeling. I felt disgusting because I was so used to not eating. When you eat, it's like, you know, different, and you don't like different. So I did gain my weight back, and it was very hard because once I found out that I was like getting better, I guess I was scared. So scared of it going bad on its own, so I forced myself to just stay in that hole. So I found out about bulimia, and then ways, you know, people, you know, do it. So I started purging, you know, since I'm like, okay, so I have to eat, but I don't want to eat. So I can just like throw it all up, because if I eat, then you know, satisfied your body. But later on, before it, what's it called? Before it does its thing, I forgot the word for it. I can throw it all up before it, you know, stays. But and I thought of that as a win-win situation because you're eating, you know, but you're not letting it stay there. So I was like, but as not a win-win situation. If anything, it made things worse because the acid that, you know, that's in your stomach, I forget what it does, but it basically fucks up your teeth. So if you want some pretty pearls, you can't have that if you're throwing it all up or like letting it keep doing it constantly. And I had that for like a couple of years as well. And if we're being honest, at least for me, I didn't ever seek help. I didn't ever want help. I wanted to stay in that hole because, since I'm depressed, and all I ever known was bad, you get used to the bad, and you've come to accept that that's all you'll ever be. So you're fine with it. I mean, I'm fine with it. So, whenever things get better or things get good in my life, you get scared. You start overthinking. It's like, you're gonna fuck up or something's bad gonna happen, and it's gonna be 10 times worse. It's like, no, just stay in this familiar place, because once you have a good thing and it goes away, you'll get worse than how you are now. At least that's how I view things. So but I did, I think at a certain time, got help. I actually got hospitalized. But don't take it from me. This is my own experience with it. My experience with it was horrible. They made things worse than it was. So being hospitalized made things worse because it was more like forcing things. So it was like, I didn't get a choice. It was like, eat or we'll shove this shit in you, And it was like, I wasn't like, I didn't have, I wouldn't say I was constantly throwing up, but I couldn't close the bathroom when I was using it because they would think that I would be throwing up, and I'm like, I'm not I do it all the time, but they didn't believe what I had to say because I could be lying. It was crazy. I hated the hospital, but I know for some people they get hospitalized on purpose, or they go there to get help, and it actually helps them. And I wish I could say the same for me, but it's okay. I think everyone has there are other ways to get help and to get better. So it could work for some people, it could work for you, but it definitely didn't for me. So, and I think once I got out of middle school, my 9th and 10th grade, I think, I've been clean for not that long. Actually, I'm not sure because I don't keep count, because I know that, or at least I've been told that it's bad to keep count, So, but not that I'm saying if you keep count that it's you stop doing that, but if it helps you, then good for you. But for me, I don't have the memory to remember how long I've been clean, so but I feel like it is good to always congratulate yourself every step of the way, to not always be hard on yourself, because recovery is hard. So if you've eaten today at all, then I'm proud of you, because I know how hard it could be. And if you haven't purged at all today, then I'm proud of you. Even if it's been for an hour and the day is not over yet, or the day hasn't even started, still congratulate yourself, because if you don't, and no one else does, then you should at least do that for yourself. And I feel like we shouldn't always rely on people, to make us feel better, because in the end, the only person who can help us is ourselves. I mean, we can get help from other things, but not everyone. So just remember that if things aren't working for you, that may be, just think about other things. And yeah, at least for me, I know that I self-sabotage like everything in my life, so I know that if things go wrong, at least it's because of me. Or like, I'm not getting better, it's because of me. But anorexia is not a choice. Recovery is. So don't ever feel like it's your fault that you had anorexia or bulimia. Just focus on recovering and getting through it, you know? Like overcoming it, because there's no point of blaming yourself for something that you already have, because you can't change it. I mean, you can't change that you have had it or have it, but you can only change what like comes forward. So that's like a big thing to remember. But like, I know I explained my like story on it, but I never necessarily explained my full thoughts on it. For me, anorexia during the time felt good. It felt good not to eat. I loved the feeling of drinking cold water on an empty stomach. You can just feel it, you know, going through. I loved the feeling, but in reality, you have to eat in order to live. So, as much, you know, I couldn't control anything in my life during, you know, that time. I couldn't control my own thoughts, what was happening to me, why I felt this way. So the fact that I can control something as powerful or as big as this, basically life or death, I felt good. I'm like, okay, I have this thing in control, and no one can like, you know, control it for me. Only I can. Unless, you know, you force feed me. But yeah, like, but in reality, I didn't think of it towards like, oh, if I don't eat, I'm gonna die. I'm just like, okay, don't eat. That's just in my head every day. Or like, you know, don't think about it. Don't think about food. And just, you know, don't be hungry. And I'm like, okay, those are like simple goals that I set for myself. And I got through it every day until, you know, I started randomly eating again. Or that, I remember, I think, people telling me to start off with something small, like try eating your favorite food. But I think I'm also like a very picky eater, so even, at least for me, how hard it was to just, you know, say something so simple, it was still the hardest thing for me to do, because I can't just, you know, eat my favorite food and then, you know, for it to like be that simple. I mean, the thought of eating was hard. You know, the thought of like eating was even hard, or even thinking about food was hard, because I was like already so invested in it. I was like in that hole, that cloud. So it was just hard, you know. And I know how hard it is for other people. I think my biggest fear now that I'm not like, that, you know, I'm not gonna call myself anorexic because I'm not, or I'm not gonna call myself bulimic because I'm not anymore. But I think the scariest part is, you know, choosing recovery. So every day you have to choose recovery. So it's like hard, you know, because it'll never go away. I mean, you'll get better, but the thought of, you know, it'll become easier, but I don't think, at least, it'll go away to where it's not like affecting you. One of the main things I hear from people who have mental illnesses or eating disorders is that everyone that they are surrounded by just doesn't care about them, or that they have no one. And I feel like what we fail to realize as people is that since, you know, these things don't get, people don't shed the light on these type of topics, people just don't think about it, you know, that their friend could have these things because they probably just don't act like it or they just don't look like it. But that's not the case, you know. Anyone can have it, and we really just have to be there for one another. And if you really just don't have anyone in that life, then be that person for yourself. Even though it's hard and you probably hate yourself, you can always learn to love yourself. You learn to hate yourself. You don't just come out the room and it's like, oh, I hate myself. So you learn to hate yourself, you can unlearn it, and you can learn to love yourself. It's so much easier said than done because I still have my own work to do on myself, but set that as a goal for like the rest of your life, you know. If no one else does, then you should for yourself, because you deserve it. You're deserving of all the love in the world. And if no one wants to give it to you, give it to yourself. Be as selfish as possible. You've gone through so much, and for anyone to have the audacity to just treat you like shit, I mean, you deserve what, you know, all the love. So if no one has said this to you today, I am proud of you. If you've eaten today, I'm proud of you. If you haven't even thought about it, harming yourself in any way, I'm proud of you. And that I love you, and that you're not alone. If you even have no one to talk to, I personally have my own social media in the description below, so you can hit me up if you want to, or in the comment sections. You can talk to each other. Just be supportive and be there for each other. Because this shit isn't hard. I mean, shit isn't easy, so. So, I guess that's just my video for this. If I helped anyone, I'd be so happy for the rest of my life with this video. And if I didn't, then at least, well, at least you guys know at least a little bit of what an eating disorder is and how it can affect you, how you think of it, at least in a way. But yeah, thanks for watching.
I'll take care of you.